Good evening, fellow Uber drivers. This is the terminated Uber driver. And I was terminated from Uber about a month and 3 weeks ago, and this is my second video about Uber terminating me. I have had friends tell me, well, you need to get over it and go get something else, or go drive for Lyft, or go do this, or go do that. But just get over it, David. Just get over it. I really liked driving Uber. I was able to pick the hours that I wanted to work. If I didn't want to work one day, I didn't work. If I wanted to work like a maniac and go 12 hours in a day, I could. If I wanted to split my day from the morning until till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning and go home, take a short nap, and then come back in the evening and drive again, go home, take another nap, and split my day. If I wanted to do that, I had that flexibility. And I did do those things. I did take advantage of that. And I was actually making some pretty good money in the last couple weeks driving Uber. I was actually making over $20 an hour. There was some days that I actually made $30 an hour. So I was doing well, but there were some things about Uber that really hurt me. And I see these videos. There's a video going out right now that different drivers on YouTube are commenting about, well, should the Uber drivers strike? Should the Uber drivers remove the app off their telephone? Should the Uber drivers not drive for Uber? Should we not drive for Uber because Uber is not paying us enough? I think that's a small part of Uber's attitude towards the driver. Folks, you're expendable to Uber. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the rideshare professor. I don't care if you're Uberman. I don't care if you're the entrepreneur. He's a sweet kid. I don't care if you're the rideshare Godfather of Chicago. I don't care who you are. You are expendable to Uber. Excuse I'm doing this off the cuff, so I don't have any notes or anything like that. You're this close to being terminated from Uber. And all it takes is a couple customers to give you a 1 rating and then turn around and then give some comments about you, and they don't have to be true comments. Then Uber will terminate you. And I mentioned in a video that I had a friend of mine that was driving for Uber. I think it was almost 3 years. He had 9,000 rides. And he got attacked from his back seat by a drunk, and the man defended himself. The drunk wrote a comment to Uber that the man attacked him, and that was it. Uber terminated him, no ifs, ands, or buts. When I got terminated from Uber, right above the camera over here is a camera, and I found the day of the incident where the girl, where I hit this patch of concrete in the driveway over I hit a patch of concrete in a parking lot over at a shopping mall. It was half abandoned, and the lights were all off, and it was dark as could be. It was probably 2 o'clock in the morning. The girl was getting off of work, or maybe it was 12 o'clock. It was Saturday night, so whatever. Uber says it was Saturday, so it wouldn't have been 2 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Uber zeroed in on one incident, and then it lumped everything from the beginning along with this and said that I was an unsuitable driver. Now you guys are all arguing about Uber's pay. How does Uber pay you? Will we get paid enough? Will we get paid enough? How about arguing about Uber's unjust star rating system? How about arguing about Lyft's unfair star system? How about arguing about unjust comments that come along because riders want a refund or want credit from Uber? How about the unjust comments that'll come along guised in prejudice and racialism, like I went into where I was driving in the south side of Chicago, and certain groups of people didn't like me, and they made bad comments. How about the fact that I had a girl in my car who herself really shouldn't have been there? She was too young, and I couldn't ask her the question because, oh, God forbid you would ask a girl a question because, you know, that's against Uber's policies. But I knew she was young, and she is in my car. She's giving me directions. She's already copying an attitude with me, and I can tell she's got a problem because she's working late, and she's the last one, and she was sitting hidden in a shopping mall, inside the shopping mall, inside the store that she was in. And I waited patiently for this girl outside for well over 5 minutes on a pool ride, of all things. But Uber doesn't care. Uber doesn't care what I went through with her. Uber doesn't care what I've gone through with pool rides out there at the shopping mall at Yorktown and Oak Brook, where you get a rider that wants to go downtown Chicago and they take a pool ride, and it's not even their phone application they're using. And what they do is they use somebody else's phone application, and then you got three-way calls going because the person that wants the ride is out in front of the store or out behind the store, and Uber puts the pin on the store address, and instead of them coming back to meet me, I have to go all the way down around the shopping mall and find the people. Uber doesn't care. Uber doesn't care about bitchy, unfair riders. Uber does not care. And why isn't the drivers complaining about that? Why do the drivers, why do you guys, Uberman, why do you entrepreneur, why do you, even the guy that's the godfather, the guy with the beard, you know, the godfather of you know, rideshare, he's the godfather, he knows who he is, you know, the smartest, the handsomest, the funniest, how about the biggest jerk on the planet? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. Anyway, you guys are arguing about the wrong thing. You've got littered drivers that have been terminated, people like me. Don't give me this crap that I'm creepy. There's this guy that saw my videos on my and says you're creepy. I would love to meet you face to face, but you're too much of a coward to meet me face to face. You really are. You are. I would love to meet you face to face and have you say that to my face. I would. But you wouldn't. And a lot of you guys that make these snotty comments to me, you couldn't. You wouldn't. Anyway, I digress. You're arguing about the wrong thing. And there's a guy out there now that's got this video out that we're supposed to show the customer this video. We're supposed to show the customer the proper etiquette in our cars. We're supposed to educate the customer about how to behave in our cars. How about this? When you get a customer that, this is something that I learned too late. Too late. I trusted my customers. My last night of driving, I found an empty beer can in the back of my car. And the guy lied to me and said he was drinking a soda pop. And I said, are you drinking beer in my car? I said, you know, you can't do that. And he goes, no, I'm drinking a soda pop. And instead of checking on the man and seeing if he's lying, he's drinking a beer. And what did he do? He left it behind in the floor in my car. And I had no idea. In fact, that night I found 2 beer cans, one rolled underneath the seat that somebody else had shoved under the seat. And that's what riders do. They trash your car. They lie to you. They bum you, you know, they give bum stories to Uber. Why? Because they don't like their driver. They don't like their driver. And Uber buys it. You guys need to focus in on what Uber is doing wrong to rate its drivers. You need to focus in on what Uber is doing, what's wrong to terminate its drivers. Uber doesn't call you and ask the driver, hey, what happened? No, it's all done with emails, and it's all one-sided for the customers. Another thing you folks need to complain about bitterly is how long the rider gets to rate you. They get a whole 30 days after the ride to rate you, and then you got the rideshare guy that, you know, with his sweet voice, sounding voice, please do this and please do that, please do this and please don't do that, and could you show this to your customers and pass it on to your customers? And how about we come down on top of Uber? How about we come down on Uber for the abuse that we take in our cars? I can't tell you how many drunks that would try to pile into my cars, and I like a naive, and I'm terminated now. I'm terminated Uber, so screw you. I would let more people in this car as rated to ride in the car. I actually had fun with it because I actually had a woman straddled across from here across my car, and I was driving her in the suburbs up in the northern part up there near Schaumburg, not Schaumburg, Wilmette, and I was driving them in the car because these people living in the rich neighborhoods were too damn cheap to get themselves a 5-person car. Do you know that? They were too cheap. Here they are living in the best suburbs. Here they are, they're professionals. Here they have money, and they're too cheap to get a 5-person car. And who suffers for it? The Uber driver, if the Uber driver turns them down. Who suffers if the Uber driver tells 4 people at a hotel that come from out of town and they get a pool ride, and you tell them, no, you have to get an Uber X? Who suffers when that customer complains about the Uber driver? Who suffers about a lazy, no-good piece of crap on the south side of Chicago that doesn't even own his own car, who's riding on his girlfriend's application, and they collaborate together to get a refund on a 20-mile ride? Who suffers? The Uber driver. Why aren't you guys coming down on Uber for its unjust rating system? Why aren't you coming down on Uber for its nose-in-the-air raters that they've crammed them into an office, or they've got them sitting behind a computer screen, and they send them a list of these complaints, and these people are rated on how many of these rides they can evaluate. No judgment from senior management. Nobody looking. I know how it's going. It's a little sweatshop of evaluators that evaluate rides. That's what it is. Because Uber is cheap. Lyft is cheap. Uber's not making a profit. Uber itself should be hogtied and put out of business by the mere fact that it's running on other people's money, and it's basically a rideshare scheme that's funded by people, and it has management that's making millions of dollars conning the investors for Uber. Why aren't you guys complaining about that? Uberman sits there so sweetly, and I like the guy. I like him dearly. I like him dearly. But you know what? You know what? You guys aren't complaining enough about the right things. You really aren't. And you know what? It's terrible. You guys are complaining about the wrong things. I've been terminated, unjustly terminated. I'm a hardcore road driver. I drove charter buses. I've held more people in my buses than you guys will ever drive for Uber. Ever. Because I drove 45-foot buses with 52 people on board. And I did that for 10 years. You'll never have as many passengers as I've had. You'll never haul as much freight as I've ever hauled. You'll never have the kind of miles under your butt that I've had, where you drive for 10 hours and you just sit there driving and you get one 30-minute break with a bunch of hothead people in the back of the bus. But see, the people that ran that company were a little bit more mature about what it takes to drive a bus and to deal with customers, and they were making so much money off of me anyway. And Uber's making a killing off you guys. Folks, listen to me. You don't see what the customer's paying. You don't see it. Uber took that away from you. It took it away from me not too long after I started last year, over a year ago. This needs to be hashed out. Oh, I don't know who's going to see this video. I don't know who's going to care. I don't even care if the customer cares. You know what? I think 30% of the customers are out there, a bunch of self-righteous, smug jerks that want champagne rides on beer tab beer tab rides. You know, the price doesn't match the quality. Uber wants us to keep our cars so clean, and if your car doesn't fit what the Uber rider wanted, you get a low rating. And Uber doesn't care. Uber doesn't ask you what happened. Oh, you get to rate your customer right away. You've got a thing pinging in on you while you still got somebody in the back of the car. But you get to rate the customer. Before you can even slide the slide, you have to rate that customer and tell Uber what you thought of the customer. And then if you rate the customer lower than 5, now they have a chance to retaliate against you. And they get to make commentary that Uber sees, but the driver never gets to see. But if I rate the customer, or I rated the customer gets to see everything I said and did. Tell me that's a right and just and fair system. Why aren't you drivers going after that? Why aren't you Lyft drivers going after that? Why aren't you pundits who have these big YouTube videos and are so wise in Uber? Why aren't you going after that? Because truthfully, you're just like the customer. And I don't blame you, you're business people. But one of these days, God's going to strike Uber. It's going to happen. I just keep praying. I say, please, God, crush Uber into the ground. Crush Uber into the ground. Crush Uber. Crush the CEO. Crush this rideshare behemoth into the ground. I'm serious when I say this. I'm the terminated Uber driver, and I don't care if you don't like my video. I don't care. And it's unedited.